It is a tough time to be a public transit user. In Toronto, fares just went up 10 cents and service has been cut. In November, TTC ridership was under 70% of its pre-pandemic levels. Meantime, in Montreal, the city's transit corporation estimates more than $77 million in losses, and they're warning service cuts could be on the way. Meantime, Calgary Transit is planning for a $64 million revenue shortfall this year alone. So what can be done to get public transit ridership back on track? Well, for that, we asked Raktim Mitra at the School of Urban and Regional Planning at Toronto Metropolitan University. Welcome to Your Morning.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, what do you think, first of all, is behind this curious, slower rebound back onto public transit?
Well, there's a few factors that contributes to this. First of all, post-pandemic, many people have flexible work schedules. So the need for daily commute is not at the level of where it used to be. But at the same time, there are still concerns about, virus transmissions in crowded public spaces. So many people, when they can, are still trying to avoid public transit and driving or bicycling or using other modes of transportation. But with that being said, we need to acknowledge that there are places within these regions, particularly in the inner suburban areas, where public transportation is still crowded. These are the places where most of our low-income people, marginalized people, essential workers live. So while we have seen an overall decline in public transit, we have to remember that the effects are not the same everywhere.
That is an important point. And also those people where we see this more condensed ridership are people who don't have the option of working from home. They have to come in. Calgary has kept their fares at 2022 levels, and they've seen a better rebound in users. Toronto, as we just mentioned, they raised their fares again. How could this affect people who rely on transit?
Well, it's simple economics, right? When the prices are reasonable, when the services are reliable and frequent, more people will use transit. So if we are actually serious about bringing back the rates of transit use as we had before, raising transit fares, cutting services cannot be the solutions to these.
Yeah, giving people less for more money.
Exactly.
Doesn't work.
Particularly in these economic times.
Absolutely.
Right?
We know public transit is the hallmark of a thriving metropolitan city, not to mention a greener alternative to driving. Imagine if all those people were in cars. But why does most of its funding come from riders rather than the government?
Well, our political system is partly to be blamed here. Unfortunately, in our current political context, City of Toronto is left with the responsibility of finding resources to address the budget shortfalls and costs for improving public transportation, which should not be the case, frankly.
Who should be paying for it?
Well, we would expect that the province would play a more significant role in covering these costs, or at least enable the cities to find new and innovative ways of raising revenues. In a North American context, over-reliance on fare box revenues is not sustainable because our operating costs are very high.
Right.
So realistically, the majority of the funding should come from taxes and levies, which cities have very limited ability to raise those revenues.
Right. So the province needs to get involved. Great conversation this morning. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.